I don't know why. Welcome, everybody. It's Coach Les and Mr. Yarwood for episode number 57.
Man,
Legacy over likes. What building something that lasts really means. What are we up to? What are we leaving behind? What are we creating? Is it the instant gratification of, oh, look, I got 100 likes on my photograph today? Or are we building something that's going to leave a lasting impression, some education, some common sense, some root in the world? So, with that, I'm going to dive right in and hand the mic over to Mr. Yarwood, and we're going to really take a look and see legacy over likes. How you doing, Mr. Yarwood?
Hello everybody. I've been thinking a lot about this lately. What is it that you want people to remember you for? What mark on the world do you want to leave? Are you somebody who people are going to remember for all the good things you did, the way they treated them, the way you treated them, the way that you talked to them, the things that you did for them? Or are you going to be an influencer, I guess, and somebody who's here today, gone tomorrow, and when you're dead and gone, nobody has any memory of you other than maybe some family members, right? What is it that you're doing? What mark are you leaving on the world? And it's something I think is important because, sure, at some point, you're not going to be like Abraham Lincoln famous. You're not going to be George Washington famous. But I think the more people that you have impact on, I think the greater your memory is going to be. And that's not a selfish thing. Like everybody remembers Mr. Yarwood, right? That's not what I'm talking about. Is what is it that you created in the world? What impact did you have on people that they're going to remember you for, not you specifically, right? They're not going to say, Mr. Yarwood, it was this, or he's like, I remember when Mr. Yarwood did this for this person, or how he made me feel when I was in a bad, bad place in my life, or maybe he made my child, this, or just the impact that you have on people long term, that when you're gone, they still remember what you did and how you made them feel, how whatever that is, right? Because you think about like I said, the influencers now, they're people. It's exactly that. They have influence, but they don't have lasting legacy, right? They're going to be somebody who made an impact short term, and then whatever it is that they were trying to influence, things change and move on from them, and they're no longer impactful because what they were trying to do was very, very maybe materialistic or short term or short lived or trendy or whatever it is, right? I'm not trying to be trendy. Trendy is exactly that. It's something that happens and then it goes away, right? I think I grew up in the 80s. In the 80s where, it was cool. But now like the 80s trend is coming back. So it's a blip on the radar screen. So I look at it from the standpoint is, what can I do in my life? What can I do with my school, with my whatever it is I'm doing that's going to leave a lasting impact on families, on people, on kids, on adults, on friends, on colleagues? Just what is it that they're going to remember me for, right? And it's just something I think is important because we leave family legacies, we leave business legacies, we leave whatever legacies. And if you're remembered as somebody who really didn't care about other people, I don't know that that's what you want.
The thing for me, though, in all of this is what has prompted you to be this way.
To want to leave a legacy.
Yeah, I mean, what is?
I guess it's not so much as leaving the legacy. It's just, I think it's important that when you're around, when you are alive and on this earth, you should be making a difference in other people's lives and not being selfish and trying to make a difference in your life, right? Obviously, when you're doing things, there's going to be different, things are going to change in your life, but that shouldn't be the reason that you're doing it. You should be having impact on other people, on communities, on whatnot, to affect positive change, to make them feel, like you actually made a difference in the world, that moved the world forward in a positive way, and weren't a detriment or an anchor to it that held it back because you felt you were more important than other people. And when you put yourself first, you get in your own way and you create more problems than you solve. And I think people remember, that guy was a pain. I didn't like being around him, or he was always about him. He's always talking about himself, right? That's not the legacy that I want to leave. I want to be somebody who, when they remember me, they remember, positive things that I did for them in their life. And it's just been something it's been kind of thinking about, just because, we talked about community service last week, right? And that kind of got me on the path of like, what am I doing in the community that's making a difference?
Here's the thing, though. I know that something triggered you, and I don't want to give it away, right? There's stuff that's been triggering you, that has frustrated you in your business, in your need to make a difference, the schools, the people that you've been connecting with over the past few months that we've been talking about this.
Like people that I'm hanging out with, you mean? I don't know. I'm not sure where you're. I'll probably know as soon as you say it, but I'm not.
So I think, so I'm going to speak to myself and then see, because I don't necessarily want to put words in your mouth. I just think that I've heard this in our conversations and in our work and doing what we've been doing, and it's why we're doing it. And I look at kids today have such a lack of respect, and yet their parents aren't doing anything about it. They're so busy working to earn as much income and money as they can to provide for their kids all the greatest and latest. And, you see a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old with a $1,500 iPhone, as opposed to just the affordable one.
Right? Or even one at all.
Or even one at all at that age. Like, what do they need one for? Now, I understand, in today's day and age, you can't go to the gas station and run to the gas station to get a phone. In fact, in some homes, in people's homes, you can't even, can I use your phone? And they're like, my cell phone? Like they look at you like, what, don't you have one?
Mhm.
And I've left mine at home before and been at a friend's house and said, hey, do you have a phone that I could use? And they're like, who are you going to call? No, not Ghostbusters. Um, and I look and see that we've lost so much of that connection that you have been instilling in students for as long as I've known you. And I've watched the parents. It's like there's like this gaze and daze that suddenly clears, and they go, oh my gosh, this is possible with my child.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden their child shows up differently for them, and they're excited about being a parent.
Yeah.
And they're excited about their kids, having a good relationship with their teachers and having a good relationship with their friends who are real. And I see this as become so important to you, that here we are talking about this is a legacy that you want to leave versus over, hey, let's break 17 boards with 6 kicks and 11 punches and videotape it and get 1 million likes so that we can be famous or infamous or whatever.
TikTok famous.
So that's kind of what I'm pointing to. And I just see there's a realness about who you are and what you're up to that is uncompromisable by modern technology, or by somebody saying, well, why are you doing this? Or how come you're doing this discipline or that discipline? Or, my kid needs to be the next level. Well, no, your kid needs to be that, maybe, wants to be that, maybe, but here's the thing, they're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want them to be ready, then you have to take an active role at home.
Yeah, for sure.
Class is not going to be enough.
Yep. Yeah, that's we all get caught up in right now and what's going on right now. What do I need to know right now? What can I find out right now? And if things are taking too long, you get frustrated and move on. And when I say too long, like over a minute, oh my gosh, get to the point, right? And if you stop and just lift your head up and look around, you start to see, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on around me that I'm missing. And it even came up in our meeting today, right? Everybody
Larson, man.
phone, right? And I was like, I put my phone right up in front of me so I didn't have to look down. But it's prevalent, and it's unfortunate because there is so much going on around that you're missing out on, that you could be spending time, like you said, with your kids, with your family, with your friends. For me, I mean, I love talking to my students in class and finding out what's going on with them, right? Because I don't even know how much their parents talk to them about what's going on, right? And it's amazing. You ask a couple questions and suddenly they just gush and they start talking about all this stuff, right? And I think that's something that they're missing, is they don't get to have conversations with people, right? And when I can ask a few pointed questions, they're suddenly, you can't shut them up. They want to tell you everything that's going on and all this stuff. And it's so fun because you see the light in them. Like they just, wow, somebody's actually talking to me, not, just telling me stuff or asking me simple yes or no questions, or how did school go today? Fine. Oh, okay, good. And then you move on, right? To me, that's not an answer. When I ask a kid how was school today, they say good. I say no. What happened today? Tell me something fun about what happened today, right? start getting them thinking about what it is that they experienced that day versus just, oh, it was fine. Most of the time that's an acceptable answer. And now kids see me coming and you can see they're like excited to tell me what's going on and what they did today, right?
Yep.
And I love seeing that because it has value to them, whatever's going on, right? And people don't interact with each other enough to find out really what's going on with them. You know, the answer, the standard, oh, I'm fine, or I'm good, or whatever, right? Well, expand upon that. What's fine about your day? What happened today that made it fine or made it suck or whatever? It doesn't matter, right? Just having the opportunity to open up to people and interact and engage, to me, is like that's where it's at, because that's where you start to learn about people and what makes them tick. And then I have taken that opportunity to make things, okay, I can use that information to help them get better at whatever it is that they want to get better at, because now I know a little bit about them, what makes them happy, what makes them smile, what makes them sad. And when you have that information, you can have be a changing force in their life.
Well, and then I think the cool thing about that, the next piece to that, right, is okay, what's going to happen when I'm not here?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You've got the philosophy, legacy, what continues when you're not in the room. It's not about how many see you, it's about how many grow because of you. And you know, that's the that's $1 million question.
Yeah, what effect are you having on somebody so they go out and affect other people? And that's a big deal. And it's not necessarily did I say something that they'll remember me specifically. They might not even realize where they heard something or where they had an idea about something, right? I may have just sparked a little something in them and then they took it and ran with it, but they don't even remember where they got it. I don't care. As long as they're out doing that stuff, right? I had an effect on them whether they realize it or not. Right? And I don't need to take credit for it. I don't care. Right? That's not what it's about. It's about giving them a little spark that makes them go do something that turns into something, a raging fire, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And if they remember me for it, that's great too. I mean, that's not what it's about for me, though.
The next section I like a lot as well. Real talk and stories. Contrast influence culture versus impact culture. Story, a student who lived out YMA's lessons years later, right, to be able to create that. You know, I'd like to hear you talk about your talk about Mr. James.
My boy. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's my son and I'm proud of him and I love the person that he's become. And it's to see him take the things that I've taught him, not only as a father, but as an instructor, and just multiply them. Like we're talking we're like exponentially, right? That kid, he's turned into way more than I had ever hoped for. The impact that he's making on kids, I think, is bigger than mine. And in the short time that he's been in his position, I mean, I see him not just with the kids, but even with the parents, right? There was a student a couple testings ago that was really struggling.
It's not even, by the way, I'm going to add one more to that. It's not even kids, parents, it's adults, period.
Yep. But there was a kid, one of our students, that was really struggling. And James noticed it, right? The kid thought he was answering the questions James was asking the way he thought Mr. James wanted him to answer them, as opposed to being honest with James, which is what James wanted. So James recognized that he was struggling with some stuff with his, like, with forms and stuff, and he wasn't ready to test. And James was like, I don't want you to test when you're not ready, because you're going to fail. And I can see it already. I don't want you to fail, because that's not a good thing. What I want is for you to be honest with me and tell me that, where you're at. And James just saw through what this kid was saying to him, because the kid was trying to say the things he thought James wanted. So James took it upon himself to actually reach out to the parents of this kid and say, hey, this kid, your son is struggling. We see that. I want to help him. And I don't think he's ready yet. But I think if I take the next 2 weeks and work with him personally, directly, and get him where he needs to be, we can get him past this rank test. And the impact that he not only made on the kid, but on those parents for showing so much compassion for their son, right? They're lifelong students. That kid is never going to quit. They will not let him quit now, because they realized how much we truly care about their son, right? It's not just about getting into the next rank. It's not just about, the money that they pay us for him to be there, the tuition. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact we really want this child to succeed, and we see potential in him that he probably doesn't even realize is there, right? And to have the thought of calling the parents and say, hey, this is what we're seeing in your kid. This is what I think he needs, and here's what we want to do to help him, right? I didn't tell him to do that. That was his own idea. That was his own. He's like, hey, Dad, I think I'm going to call his mom. Can you get me their number? I'm like, yeah, sure. It's in the program. So he went and found it and reached out directly to them. I had no intervention with it whatsoever. He dealt with the whole thing, right? This is a 19-year-old kid reaching out to parents of a child, right? Having that idea that we want this kid to be something, right? And we want him to excel. And it was like one of those moments that for me impacted me too, because I saw the person that he was in those moments and those decisions that he was making, that he's going to have impact not only on this child, this family, but so many others, right? Because that's what's inside of him, right? That desire to want to help and to get people, get them where we see them, where their potential is, right? And to be able to be part of that and help them with that it blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. That's what legacy is, right? He made such an impact on that kid and his parents that they're never going to forget that. That's a pivotal moment in his life, just by making a phone call.
Yeah. It's really awesome.
And I wish I could take credit for it, but sure, I had some say in it getting to that point, but that's something that he took what he's learned and just blew it up.
I think, though, as with anything, and I think a lot of times parents and adults are not attentive to how much kids absorb from watching them.
For sure.
Seeing how they interact with their friends, with other adults. How do they handle anger? How do they handle somebody that's a jerk?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the lessons you've provided have made the difference.
Yeah, it's being an example to not only the kids but the parents. Like me interacting with my son, they see that too, right? And I think they like, man, I really love the relationship that those guys have. Like it's not only father son, but it's instructor and I don't know, mentor and student or whatever you want to call it. They see the genuine relationship that he and I have, right? And it's not always hunky dory fun stuff. So they see the other stuff too. I mean, Mr. Vidine himself he plays the I forget what song. He's always got a song he plays when James and I are like going at each other, right? But it's all in we're trying to help each other. We're trying to grow with each other, right? And there's going to be times when it's we butt heads, but that's part of it, right? And being able to be real like that, and then also have people see that they go, okay, well, I sometimes have that with my kid too. It still happens, right? If Mr. Yarwood and Mr. James aren't always, eye to eye, we can do it too, right? And that's just it's just as impactful to see that part of it as well. And I just think being an example for students and parents is such it's a huge responsibility, right? To be able to provide that guidance for them and be able to see, hey, it's not always 100% perfect. And
no, but I think to go back to the original point, legacy over likes.
Mm-hmm.
James isn't doing it to get people to like him more than you.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not doing it to get the parents to like him to continue to keep the student in.
Yeah.
He's doing it because you've created a world of this is how we can make a difference in people's lives. And when you see an opportunity, grab it and make a difference.
Yep.
And this is legacy over likes right here in action. And being able to do the meaningful work isn't always glamorous. It's not always fun. Who wants to go and snitch to the parents about their kid and then create a rift? And yet we want to consider that setting this up is generational. So if we can build the foundation with the parents so that when the son leaves the dojo, the studio, and goes home, there's still that impetus driving legacy over likes.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we have our motto, families that kick together, stick together, right? We have so many families that are training together. We have a family that they were around when I started, right? They came and found me to start training their son with me, right? So I have 2 generations, right? And then they started back up again because, like we got to do this, right? To see that, to have that impact, right? That's what 2008, 17 years worth that I can look back on and say, hey, this is impact that I made way back then that influenced them, 17 years later with their child, that when I knew them, they didn't even know each other yet. They had just met each other, the couple. And now they're bringing their son to me. That's legacy. That's impact.
And the integrity that is required to have that happen is masterful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, for me as a student looking, at the future of, what does it take to be a black belt? What does it take to represent Yarwood's martial arts and be part of that legacy is to be able to see and learn and notice and work with and be a demonstration of those principles.
Mm-hmm. And that's why one of the reasons we created the YMA Legacy Foundation. It's right in the name, right? We want to be impactful to people who maybe aren't able to do what we do, but we give them an opportunity to be able to do that, right?
Yep.
So with the foundation, with the YMA Legacy Foundation, we're able to impact those who are struggling in different ways and be able to give them something in their life that they can grab onto and make their own and start being able to be part of what we do and get the impact that we have that they otherwise might not have been able to.
Yeah. It's awesome. So you've got a call to action here. We want to challenge the listeners today, the people that are going to be listening to the replay. When you're gone, will your impact still stand? Or will it scroll away or be swipe left, swipe right?
Yep.
Take a look and see what's the meaning of your life versus what are you marketing out there on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Look at building habits and building relationships with people and community, not just the clicky moments that you can take a quick snapshot of. So what's your statement there at the end?
Says we're not just chasing likes, we're building legacies.
Yeah.
Because I look at it from the standpoint that every student that we have has the ability to go out into the real world and make a huge impact themselves. And that's how we train. That's how we look at it. It's not just about getting to the next belt. It's not just about teaching them how to punch and kick and block. While that's all part of it, it's about what kind of person are we helping create? What kind of citizen? What kind of mentor? What kind of what impact are we having on them that they can go out and impact the world, right? How can we help to guide them to the point where that explosion happens, where that constant ripple effect just keeps going and going and going? What can we do? How can I affect change in somebody else's life so they affect change in multiple lives? It sounds kind of far-fetched and oh my gosh, but it's not, right? One little change in a person's life can make huge changes in many lives just based on what they go out and do with that change. You don't know how much power you have. You don't know who you've influenced. You don't know what impact you've had on somebody's life. They're not always going to tell you. They might not even know that that's who did it. But I always look at it from the standpoint, these are every interaction with somebody is an opportunity to help them grow, and yourself.
Well, I'm excited, and thank you again. Episode 57's been a kicker and a doozy once again, and appreciate this time to reflect about this and look and learn. And, as a challenge to parents, where are you hiding? And what's it going to take for you to get out from behind there?
Yep.
All right. Anything else for you, sir?
We always say be present in your family's life, in your kids' life, in your community's life. Be present. Be part of it. Be impactful. Little things make big changes.
Yes, they do. So remember that. All right. Well, with that, Here we go.